The dark time. Brief background: married for 22 years and my wife informed me she was having an affair with someone from work. It had started as friends but became closer over a couple of years before moving to physical at the end of April. Then she spent 6 weeks deciding what to do, was it real and such. She actually told me on our daughter's 18th birthday. I think the AP's wife had found out and my wife was forced to tell me. After that told her I wanted to work things out. We have 2 kids 18 and 20 and it would be better to try. She was undecided and wanted time to think, so we spent the next 4 weeks living in the same house. It did cause arguments before she needed space and moved into her parents'. She did admit she needed to speak to the AP, but it would be just talking. She was still visiting us at home and spending days with us. But I now realize that moving to her parents just gave her the opportunity to spend more time with him, because she wasn't at home so was free to do as she pleased. Throughout this she has always said she loved me and she didn't know what to do for the best. She really missed the children and she was really struggling. 4 weeks she told us she wasn't coming home. I still had hope. Don't know why, but I do love her. I have tried no contact and am okay for days at a time, and then she will contact me and we meet and I go back to square texting, ringing for a few days until I get past it. I saw her last week to discuss our youngest going to school, as it very much me dealing with it all at present. My 20-year-old hasn't spoken to her for 5 weeks now. During that meeting she did say she was moving into a rented house and it would be with him. She needed to know if it was the biggest mistake of her life but couldn't know until she did it. It is like all the pain is not enough. She needs to add another layer and make it more difficult for all of us. I am very much lost at the moment. The pain at times is unbearable and I flick from disgust at her action and selfishness to wanting her back to try again. I do think she is basing all decisions on emotions at the moment, not logic, and she will regret this for the rest of life and will lose so much. It is so sad she won't see it. I just can't imagine my life without her in it at the moment. I am sure I will and will be better for it. She will certainly not have a better life than we have had, and I do know the only eventual loser will be her. Just doesn't stop the hurt at present. I have now spoken to the OM's wife and no real revelations. The timeline seems similar, a few discrepancies here and there, but then she told me my wife was in France with him now visiting her other sister, who lives out there. I did know she was going, but she said she was going with her sister from the UK. As everyone has said, don't believe a word she says. All lies and more hurt. Just backs up what everyone is saying. I haven't spoken to the in-laws for about 5 weeks, but apparently he has met them, so it kind of condones it. I don't want my children to see them. I want them to realize there are consequences. Everything isn't the same and normal, but then that hurts my kids. It just feels unfair that everyone seems to accept what has happened and can move on, and because I can't, I am at fault. Her sister tried to get the kids to meet with her by sending a text saying she knows she has hurt you and is missing you but wants to see you. Nothing about the children's feelings, all about her. It seems the whole aim is to make it as least painful for her, whatever that does to us. She is hurting because she misses the kids. Can't have that. It isn't fair. I thought they would be okay or we would have some contact. I didn't expect this to happen. Consequences, but it still doesn't make her stop or rethink. Deep in the fog of deluded expectations, very sad. She certainly is stronger than me at the moment, but I will get there and focus on them from now on. Manning up is easy to say but harder to do, but I will get there for us. It's just a really sad situation that people can act this way and think it is okay. We had a good life, just not good enough. I do see a counselor and that does help. I have seen a solicitor, UK based, and they have said I can have half of everything including her pension. NHS 25 plus years should be quite good. I did tell her this and she actually said, is that what we are doing now? I haven't been unreasonable. My response was, you cheated on me. Apart from that, she said, like everyone says, I just need to look out for me now and my 2 girls. We had a comfortable life in front of us, but she has ruined it, so I need to get as much as I can so we aren't struggling in the future. I always thought she was a good person, kind and caring and a good mom. But the last 3 months is totally out of character. Or maybe not, maybe that's what she has always been. I just didn't see it. No contact anymore and try and move on. Why didn't I see it? Life has been normal up to 4 months ago. Doing things together, healthy physical life, etc. If she has been planning this for a long time, I wish she had talked to me at some point before we got to here. I wish it were so easy for me to forget 24 years together. I know apparently she can, but it is more difficult for me. If you had been through, as a few people have said, it is not easy, not black and white, and not about me finding my balls. It is about me moving on, not that I am weak. The stronger thing was to try. Giving up is easier, but my family meant more. She screwed that now, I know, but don't criticize me when you don't know me. I am no longer trying to win her back. That ship has sailed, but I did spend several weeks doing that, to try and keep the family together. Subsequently, I have found out what her plans are now and realize I need to concentrate on the girls and me. I have maybe played this all wrong, but as some have said, there is no manual. I was trying to keep the family together, and part of that family used to include my wife. She had cheated, but at that point I still wanted to work it out. That feeling has lessened as more is revealed, and I wouldn't take her back now. Time to concentrate on the girls and me. I was remembering who she was because I can't believe a person can totally change their character so much. But then I don't recognize her now and her actions show me she has no concern for my feelings and the kids are not a priority, so she has totally changed. Life sucks. Quick update, got my daughter to college and settled in. Was an okay day, my 2 daughters and I sorted it all out between us and faced it together. My wife then texted to thank me for sorting everything. She has missed out on one of the biggest days of our daughter's life and it just seems so matter of fact. I hope she is hurting. If feelings and emotions don't make me a real man, then I don't want to be. I know I have played some of this wrong, but it isn't black and white. And as for the AP, he certainly isn't a man, he is a short little selfish twat that no one likes. The grass won't be greener and their world will come crashing down. I take my solace in that now. We do still have a child at home, although she is 20 and has her own life. But she is still here with me. So that 100% of being in their life has gone down to 10% if she is lucky. Another quick update, no contact from me for a couple of weeks, but now she texts that she wants to come and get more stuff out of the house knowing I am at work. Told her no, but she is coming anyway. I do not want to see her at all. Talk to my daughter about it. She does need to speak to her and tell how she feels and needs space, so she will be in to see her and monitor what she takes. Mental, how has my life become this in the past few months? She came on Sunday and took her belongings, clothes and such, also a few lamps and other ornaments. The weird stuff was plates, pans, cups. She is literally starting a new home with all our memories. We have 4 placemats on a coffee table with each of our initials on, and she took her initial and left the other 3. Strange. She also sent a list of larger items she wants, which included our duvet. Again, very weird. Why would you want to sleep under a duvet? We have shared in bed together for the last couple of years. She also wanted the camcorder videos we have of our children growing up. Both these things she will not be getting. They stay in the family home with the family. I actually think she has lost her mind at the moment with her actions and requests. The conversation went okay. She asked for space, which is ironic because that's what my wife wanted from me a couple of months ago, but when I couldn't do it, she got mad. I am getting to a place where I have no choice but to move on. She has made her choice. Still hurts at points, but I do know she is nothing like the women I knew a year ago. I don't like her or her actions. Hard but true, it is amazing how a switch clicks. If I see her 10 steps back, but when I don't see her, I am not bothered. In fact, really dislike her. I do know the relationship is gone. I am nearly 5 months in now and I am a lot better now than I was a month ago. It still hurts and I still think about her and what has happened. What are other people's experiences on how long it takes to heal fully? The hits keep on coming. The girls and I got an email this morning from Apple. She has an Apple Music account for us as a family. The email said the boyfriend has now joined the family. I know it is only the family group, but how cruel. She does say she didn't know the email would come out, but still another punch to the gut. Absolutely no care or consideration for any of our feelings. Actually, thinking about it, this might hurt her more than me. Set up my own family sharing for me and the girls. They will come off hers and join the new one for us, which means she can't do location sharing, so she can't go on her phone and see where they are. She will feel that serves her right. Getting on with things, she has now taken all the things she wants from the house and contact is superficial. She has said she wants to reduce the contribution to the bills and only cover half the mortgage and will give my daughter money for food separately. Didn't take long to see her true colors. Thankfully, I am in a lot better place. She doesn't affect me anywhere near as much. I have told her family I want nothing to do with them and I have been on a couple of dates. So, I have really turned a massive corner. Thanks again for all your support and guidance. Still early days, but a brighter future. Kind of an epiphany. Nothing serious with the dating, but it has put a smile on my face. No limbo anymore. I realize I wouldn't want her back. The way she has acted and what she has done is not any person I want in my life. Divorce in the UK takes over 7 months at least start to finish, so not a quick process. I am in touch with solicitors and will be getting the ball rolling. I have told both her and her family I am moving forward. I have taken control for me and the girls and feel a hell of a lot better for it. I realize it is not over and there will be tough times ahead, but can face them knowing I have come through the worst and survived. Like comment. What I have noticed is that, broadly speaking, betrayed men seem to do better in the long run than betrayed women do. Maybe I am wrong, but guys do tend to feel more devastated at the beginning, and some men go on to spend a couple of years pining for the women who jilted them, but they always seem to bounce back well eventually. Often, they end up with a much better women than the ones who left them. Story 2. I'm from Scandinavia, so English is not my mother tongue. Therefore, I apologize for any of my mistakes. Husband and I have been together for 6 years. He's 33 and I'm 36. We met in his country as I was on vacation. We visited each other pretty much every month, both students at that time, so it allowed us to live like that, to do so. Anyway, around 1.5 years after we met, we decided to move to my country. I live in Scandinavia. We did so as I am extremely attached to my family. Approximately 1 year later I got planned pregnant. And 2 years after our son was born, we had another planned pregnancy. We are now parents of 2 children. Anyway, to make a very long story short, my husband still, after all these years, don't find himself in my country. He doesn't like it here at all. Hates the language. He several times tried to learn it, no success. Hates the cold. Hates the living. The vibes. Don't have friends. Can't find himself a job. Which is super hard for him as he's been getting job rejections so many times and have a major obstacle against himself, that he doesn't speak the language, along with not having the right educational background. It's very challenging and super hard. He has always been a man of high ambitions, big dreams. He is not from North America, Canada, Montreal, but has been living there and working there for many years, and he was loving it. Now holds a Canadian citizenship, and our children also became citizens of Canada. You can apply for such thing if one of your parents are a citizen. He feels like Canada, North America, is home to him. He loves the mentality, the competitive, in regard to business, life, the people there, literally everything about it. The fact that he is certain that he can, or will at least work towards that, give us a much better life, which means more money and a bigger home. Right now here in my home country we live in a 1-bedroom and 1-living-room apartment with our 2 children. It's not optimal, but it's located right in the city center and super cheap, plus my siblings lives a few minutes away and also my mom. Anyway, husband really don't like it here. He seems depressed. He has lost his ambitions completely. He is living a mediocre life. He hates it. He's here because we have children now. I am so torn. On one hand, this is where I want to be, next to my family. The love that my children share with their grandparents and aunt, uncle and their children, cousins, are priceless. And also, I love being close to my family. It's very important to me. He understands all of this, and respects it. But he says it is what it is. This is where we'll live with a face like someone who gave up on their own life and dreams. It's super hard for me too. Hard to always feel like my days here with my parents and siblings are counted, because it can't continue this way, living with a miserable husband. Knowing that I am the cause of his misery, I feel beyond torn. It might save our marriage to move away, give us a better financial future, but is any of that worth it for me in the long end, when I can't be close to my dear parents and siblings, and for them not to be part of my children's life? So first of all, correct, Canada is not his hometown. He's originally from Greece, and that's also where we met. Now, he went to Canada for the first time, alone, when he was only 16. He was living with a very good friend at his friend's parents' house. Then went back to Greece. Abs came back to Canada as a 21. And lives there, started a career, got some great friends whom he's still in contact with. But Canada is not his home. It's not where he was born and raised, or where any of his family is living. They all live in Greece, but he always talks so fond of Montreal and his home. I just know that he will never be happy here in my country. He even says so himself. It's very tough to hear, and very sad for him that he feels that way. I have always tried to make him understand the good things about living here where we do. It's a great system and safe country. It's relatively close to Greece, so we can visit his parents, which we before the corona did every 4 to 5 months. If we were to live in Canada, then yes, he might have an easier time finding a job and be a provider. But I have made it clear that the extra money we would be getting would basically cover the travels to visit my family here in Scandinavia and also to visit his family in Greece. Not much would be left. He feels like an alien here, not knowing the language, not having any of his people, good friends. He's a very outgoing person. Abs PPL here, I guess, are quite introvert. They keep to their own little circle of friends. Sometimes he tells me that if I actually would like to move, the might wouldn't even bring him to Montreal due to the terrible winters, but instead we should go to Toronto. He has some family there, meaning his grandmother's brother's children, who we are not really in contact with at all, except for being Facebook friends. But that comment of, well, we could also go to Toronto, makes me so upset at him. I've told him it sounds like some kind of a game. Where should we go? It frustrates me. I told him that I am not interested in the first place to move away from my family here, but at least in Montreal he has a lot of friends and people he knows. Why suddenly speak of a third place? I have thought of doing a 1 or 2 years in Montreal in the past. But honestly, let's be honest here, I've also told him this. Let's say that he would do well. Financially, we get to live in a bigger home. Don't worry about finances like we do now. But I am not happy. I miss my mom too much. Abs to see her with my children. Would it then be realistically for me to simply state let's go back? Let's go back to my home country, to the same small apartment we live in now, to you not having a job, to the frustrations? No, I don't think I could do that. But in my heart, I don't see me living without my parents, siblings either. My mom is so connected to my oldest son. He's 2 years and 8 months. She loves him so much. She calls him her vitamin pill. She gets so thrilled from spending time with him. And she's missing him if 3 days went by without seeing him. Husband's English is today far better almost than his native language. Most of his English he learned while living in Montreal. I get that here in Scandinavia everyone has a quite good English and prefer switching over to English when speaking to a foreigner, which absolutely makes it harder for newcomers to learn the language. My husband also has ADHD and is dyslexic. Always had a very hard time in school ever since he was a child. In Montreal he finally succeeded. He worked for a big company and was well respected, was good at what he was doing, and earned well. Along with that, he had great friendships there. Thinking of all of that, I absolutely get why he would want to go back to Canada, Montreal. He has everything there that he's lacking here. Had success, friends, could freely communicate in English with everyone. A great job, a steady life. Here he has me and the kids. We fight a lot. The kids are wonderful. I don't have many friends here. I have a very small portion of friends. My friends are not what keeps me hanging in my home country. Only my family is. I just don't know if it's selfish of me to want to stay here when I see that things don't work between us here. I feel it's either I keep the marriage, our family, and we move, or we stay and he's miserable. Greece could also be an option, he from time to time says. Well, at least that's much closer to my home country. And at least we have actual family there, kids' grandparents, an uncle, and my husband's cousins and their kids. In Montreal, the kids will have no relatives by blood, which would sadden me beyond words. Our living situation isn't optimal. Our apartment is too small. But again, I guess also this is a cultural difference. Most parents here find it naturally for their small children. Our kids are only 7 months and still feeding, and 3 years old. It's quite normal if you want to live downtown that housing is super expensive and small. But all of this is a different story. I hear that some of you sees this as if I am sacrificing my own little family in order to live in the same country as my parents and siblings. I understand why you would think that way. A small part of me is also thinking like that, but that is only when I take my husband's perspective of this matter. Does that make sense? Like, I would never think that it would be selfish of me to live in my country where my kids' grandparents live and their cousins, etc. If it hasn't been for him. He tells me that even if he should find himself a job here, he feels like it's a numb country. People don't meet up. There's no vibe. People keeps to themselves. Newcomers like him will never make any friends because people don't seem willing to expand their circle. It's super tough to hear that even if he should find himself a job, he doesn't think he'd be happy here. It's like as if there's no other way but to leave. I, as a person, is also a pleaser, meaning that I sometimes do things to make others happy and forgetting myself. And then afterwards getting upset that I did. I can't speak to my family about this. My mom, who I am super connected to, is always telling me not to think about her, but to do what is good for us. But at the same time that it's extremely important to have a plan, and if we decide to relocate, that my husband goes in advance, finds a job, and a house, a home, before bringing the whole family down to a place where we don't even have a place to live, and he doesn't have a job, and income. Now, yes, she's saying we should maybe try it, but I know my mom very well. Her biggest wish obviously is that we would stay. It would break her heart if I left. In my family are super attached to one another, brought up this way. Despite not being Italian, I guess that the family ties in what you would call a typical Italian family is how my family is connected. It would be an enormous loss for me not to have them every day with me. My parents aren't young anymore. Canada of anywhere around that area is very far, and very expensive to travel to. My sister is a lonely mother with 3 children. She would never afford visiting me. My parents are on pension. And for us, a family of, so far, 4 people, to visit them will be so ridiculously expensive. Anyway, again, I understand why you all say that this is a matter of compromise and what have you done for your husband. Well, my husband knew from the beginning that I was super connected to my family and knew that if he wanted me, then he'd have to come and live with me here. Around 6 months into living here, he already started complaining. Hate the weather. He was a well-traveled guy and never, ever saw himself settling in a country like tiny Denmark. He never really spoke highly of it. I feel like and always felt like he never wanted to live here. Never gave it a fair chance. He knew what he got himself into. Now, on top of all this, we also have a very turbulent relationship. Tons of fights, tons of ups and downs. Don't see eye to eye on much. Argue a lot. I would say that if we would have had a super steady marriage and a strong friendship between us, then I might also have considered moving abroad with him a bit more. But honestly, relocating, which would be against my own wish, only to make my husband happy and to maybe save the marriage, and to not have my parents physically around, would be a really bad idea, I think, when our relationship is so rocky and unstable. Before lockdown, we used to visit his family in Greece 3 times a year. Now, they haven't even been able to meet our 8-month-old daughter. Our oldest 3-year-old have been visiting numerous times with us. We love going there, but it's also easy. We stay with the family. They take so good care of us. Weather is amazing, nice and warm. They invite us out for nice dinners, etc. We love to go there for a visit. And absolutely, despite the fact that husband left his family at a young age to live in Montreal, I can tell that he now from time to time miss having his family around and have them seeing their grandchildren. I totally get that, and it saddens me. When he speaks to me about maybe we should try out Greece, I often say one thing is to enjoy a great vacation there with a place to stay, everything being paid for. Another thing is to actually live there. It's quite hard financially. I wouldn't know where else we should go. For me, family is so very important. Preferably to live close to my own family. But if that's not going to be an option, then to live in a place where we do have family. In Greece, where he's from, could be an option. Although living is quite hard. and I'd had to learn the language. But I find it so wrong to relocate to a faraway place where we have no relatives at all. At the same time, I am super tired of this situation. His mood swings due to our situation. That he isn't happy, that he is losing himself and his dreams. I don't have the same big dreams as he does. I visited Canada, Montreal, with him once. That was before having children. It was great, beautiful, super nice people. They made me feel welcome. Or maybe it was the fact that I was in a strange country, yet a country where I felt I could engage in a conversation as I understand everything as they all spoke English. His friends all speak English there, not French, so, from that aspect it was great. And instantly felt a bit well known due to that there isn't any lang obstacles. We stayed at his friend's place, borrowed their cars. At a certain point we also leased our own car, drove around, always had something to do, places to see, people to meet. Yes, we were on vacation. It's all fun and nice when you're on vacation. It's another thing to actually live there. I could try it out for a few years basically, but as I also stated in another post, then what? Let's say he gets a good job, great income, bigger place to live in than what we live in here in Denmark. Should I then say, honey, I'm homesick. I've tried it out and I simply kiss my family way too much. Let's go back to a small apartment. And you, back to being unemployed. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. You know what I mean? A much bigger home, better living conditions will be on the expense of grandchildren not having their grandparents around. Or any family except for their mom and dad. I find that thought so very sad. What makes me sad? There's no winners in this game. Wherever the decision will be, one of us will end up making a big sacrifice. Despite the fact that we have tons of issues, fights and ongoing argument, we are still together. Mostly maybe for the sake of the kids. But also, we at times also do enjoy each other's company. I would also say that it's important to remember the big changes that we've been through together in a relatively small amount of time. Met 6 years ago. Both students, visited each other's country on the regular. Then he moved to my country. Prior to that he proposed. We then married. Then I got pregnant. He had to get adjusted to a Jew country. New place, new mentality, new everything. Not having a job, searching, no luck, lots of rejections. His big international business dreams being slowly crushed. Struggling with trying to learn the language. Then I got pregnant again. And now we are here. A lot of stress, a lot of worries, a lot of hopelessness. Also, he actually has his own company. He's an entrepreneur by heart. He's been having his own company for now 5 years. Though, it is not a steady business at all. Far from it. Unfortunately, not something that one day will make us able to buy something. So, in that sense of course it's satisfying enough for him. Update. So, my husband and father of our 2 young children, now 3 and 5, chose last summer to apply for separation. We've had many problems for years, daily arguments, lots of resentments. I had resentment due to not feeling seen, loved, appreciated. Did so much, took care of our children pretty much solely, allowed him to sleep in every single day. I took all nights. The past long time I made them dinners and ate with them alone. He is an entrepreneur. I allowed him to do his thing, to focus on his work. He never seemed to appreciate that though. We didn't live as a team. We didn't go out as a team. I always had to ask him to watch where the kids were. So even though he was there, I still had to be on top of him. This is just the short story, and a few examples. Basically, I screamed for an actual partner, a friend, a team played, where we would be in this together, and not me doing it on my own. Someone who would show in effective ways that I was loved, not someone who for fun would say want to have fun and think that this is a funny way, mature way of showing love. Anyway, despite it all I didn't want a divorce, separation. I tried my best to look up therapist and ask him to come with me, but he was set on getting separated. On top of that he wanted a prenup now, cause he couldn't trust me and had to protect himself. He lives in my country. We got separated. 1 month after we meet up with the kids. He's all over me, kissing, holding, all the things I longed for. He told me he was so confused, but missed the kids and me. Our kids are living with me after he moved out. He said he would be willing to go to therapy, but we should prior to that write a prenup and make a schedule for the kids, when he has them, and when I do, so we know what's at stake if counseling won't help. I thought it was a bizarre way to do it, but eventually agreed. I really wanted to give us a chance. I found a therapist. We went there a few times, yet had fights in between the sessions. I guess normal. Yet, he chose to say it's too much. We simply aren't compatible. I want out in between session. He did this 1 or 2 times during our 4 couple sessions. I got furious and stated to disbelief in everything. Yet couldn't leave. Really wanted my family intact. We stopped therapy in November 2022. Yet, started seeing each other again and were also intimate now and then. For a while we acted like a couple. In beginning of February, we had a fight again. He chose to end it yet again. And now it's August. 4 weeks ago, as we spoke about traveling on a few days summer break with the kids, he sends me a text saying that he thinks the vacation idea sounds great. Yet he just wanted to share with me that he's seeing someone else. He kind of wrote it like a FYI. I was shocked and hurt. To be done by a text. I wrote him how sad I was but silence. 3 weeks later he asks me if we should go abroad for 1 or 2 nights with the kids. I tell him this setup is bizarre and not for me, as he's seeing someone else. He didn't reply on that day. 3 days later he tells me he isn't seeing anyone and that it wasn't anything serious. We'll just mention that he brought her with him to a restaurant owned by people I know. Of all restaurants, I thought it was tactless and disrespectful to me. I confronted him with it. His response was first to deny it, then to say that no one was there and that the city is so small so he all the time runs into people that he knows. But that's not the thing here. He deliberately brought her to a place where I know the owners and put me, intentionally or unintentionally, in an embarrassing situation. Another of his arguments were that I always care what others think. I wanted to X his head as we texted these messages. The man acts impulsively, doesn't take responsibility for his own actions, and can't even give a frank apology for having done something that hurt me. Another of his arguments in self-defense were, we aren't together. Yet, I treat you with so much respect and have your interests in mind. If my womanly guy isn't completely off, then I'd say that I feel that he's trying to near me once again. But what is going on with this person? Telling me 4 weeks ago that he's seeing someone. Bringing her to a restaurant where I know the owners a few months back, not hiding her at all. And now suddenly saying it was nothing serious. I must admit, I've been wanting him so badly, wanting us so badly, wanting our little family intact that I could be willing to forgive all of this and try over. It's not that he's directly saying he wants to start over, but I get the vibes. Yet, his handling of this situation, his sort of manipulative way of responding me, just made me hate him and want nothing to do with him. My comment, it is pretty clear that you have not set boundaries on his coming back to you and his children. He on the other hand with his or whatever nup sets boundaries on you and refuses to allow you to set boundaries on his behavior. If he is not flaunting a girlfriend in front of people you know while only separated and not divorced, call him out on that. Tell him that he crossed a marriage boundary and that if he ever wants to talk about other boundaries or just end the marriage, you are willing to talk. But if your marriage continues, it will not be the same as it was before. It will have explicit behavioral boundaries and expectations regarding how a husband treats his wife, the amount of time he spends with her, and his commitment to the marriage. This marriage is over and has been for some time. You need to accept this and stop letting your husband treat you like this. Get the best lawyer you can find.